What's up, everyone? This is the Two Off the Tee Show, Fantasy Six Packs Golf and Gambling Show. Uh, I am your host, Keith Flemming, at Keith Flemming on Twitter. With me, as always, my co host, the gambling degenerate, my favorite, Alan, aka at Actively Lazy 85 on Twitter. Alan, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. I don't know if it's me or if it's your mic. You sound a little robotic on there. It might be me, but if anybody notices, obviously I'm in my car. I'm not at my house, so we're making do with what we can.
Yeah, we apologize about that. Obviously, we did not have a show last week due to the fact that it was a team event, but this is not exactly an enticing tournament, the Mexico Open. This is sort of the downside to the elevated, non-elevated schedule of the PGA Tour. If John Rahm wasn't here, people probably would not have any care whatsoever, but we are still going to preview the course like we normally do, give some of our favorite DFS and gambling picks. But before we get into that, just want to remind everyone that you can become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You'll get access to their amazing Discord, access to award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today by using the promo code F6PMLB for 15% off. You should definitely do that. And with that, we will start the Two Off the Tee Mexico Open preview show. But I do want to discuss a few things that happened this week, Alan. First of all, did you see the fact that did you watch the Zurich Classic, the two-man event?
I did not,
So I guess
and
that would
it
mean
wasn't.
that
I
you're
was
not
gonna
a
say
fan of that.
no, it wasn't intentional. Like so, that format actually for somebody who doesn't play golf, I think it's cool. I mean, it's the type of stuff we used to play on Tiger Woods and what we play on the PGA 2K. So to see professionals in that format to me is always like a good refresher, like a good break, uh, especially coming off of like the Masters and then that event after the Masters and you just like sometimes you just kind of need something to loosen up. And I like to see them be competitive. I think Davis Riley had mentioned the anxiety that they get sometimes because they don't have that much control because when they're playing the foursomes, it's like it's not your shot technically. But I think it's something that I would like to see them do probably like once a month, honestly. But I guess it would get kind of tiring after that. But I just had some family stuff come up and I just couldn't watch it.
I really enjoyed the event. I am one of the people that is a big proponent for it. I think it's cool to see the guys, especially because they can pick their partner. I actually wish they would do an elevated event so we would get all the top guys. I just think the teams would be a little bit more intriguing. But, good for Davis Riley. Him and his partner, who literally hooked up just a few weeks ago, they both got their first PGA Tour win and all the stuff that comes with it. So that was a big deal. Second, did you see any of the LIV news this weekend from their tournament in Australia?
Well, I've only seen this viral video of I guess Chase
Kepka.
Kepka's ace on their
Mm-hmm.
16. But like everybody's hyped because they're playing Chief Keef in the background. I'm like, I don't know if I can really make out the song, but I'm like, didn't that song come out like a decade ago? But whatever gets people involved. I mean, sometimes if you go viral, that's all you need to generate some views. But I'm still personally not a big fan of the format for gambling. But obviously, anytime you get a waste management type atmosphere, I think it's always going to be cool.
Yeah, they are already looking to have two events over there now, and rightfully so. They drew over 75,000 fans for the three rounds. Taylor Gooch went on to win. But the big deal or the headline was the par three that they had there that really made the waste management, the 16th hole at the waste management, look, like it's tame. It was a crazy atmosphere. They had a DJ there. The fans were actually chanting as players hit their shots, which was interesting. It was cool to see a few players have to back off because they kind of, do the and then right when they'd hit. But they looked like they had a great time. Obviously, they copied the waste management that there was several times that everybody threw their beers onto the tee box, and they actually made the stadium seating even more on top of the players on the tee than anything you see at the waste management. You'll see kind of that kind of stands on the PGA Tour around the first tee, but I don't know if I've ever seen that close on a par 3, which was pretty cool. But this was definitely a successful week for LIV. It drew a lot of attention, and you can roll your eyes like I do most time when they talk about rolling the game being part of LIV's motto or goal. But this week proved that when you go to places like Australia that is starved for golf, they have their own tour. It's not a very big one. They have one event that is kind of a big event. Tiger's played in it some, but nothing like this. And anytime you get 75,000 people to show up and they look like they have that good of a time, that's a big deal. All right.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Can we also say shout out to LIV for being smart enough to use plastic cups?
Yes.
I'll never forget that. That was silly. Like, whoever had that oversight should have been fired. Hey, let's throw glass bottles at people. That makes sense.
We leave that to the Philly fans. Before we get into the course preview, I want to remind everyone to be sure to check out my DFS article on Fantasy Six Pack each week. The preview for the Mexico Open is up now. Last week, from the article, 8 out of my 10 plays made the cut. The 2 who didn't, unfortunately, Alan finished literally on the cut line, which that's kind of a bummer. But my official lineup scored 687 points, finished in the 4th percentile of the 50,000 entry that I was in. So my best official lineup of, just 6 players, kind of making my own team that I've had since I'm doing the article. But I've now had all 6 golfers from my official lineup make the cut through the last 4 weeks. And that is a big deal because if all your guys don't make the cut, you're not going to do so well. So be sure to check that out. All right, we're going to get into the Mexico Open. Again, I'm a country boy, so I apologize. I'm probably going to butcher the name of this venue, but it's, I believe, Vedanta Valerta. This is a Greg Norman course, ironically, with all the LIV stuff going on. Last year was the inaugural event, and there was plenty of speculation of what type of golfers would find success. The course is extremely long. It plays at 7,500 yards at sea level. Anyone who has played at sea level knows the ball goes nowhere. And they play on slow and sticky paspalum grass. That's fairways, rough, greens, everything. This area is known for, at times, extreme high winds. It's because of its close proximity to the Pacific coastline. The combination of length and conditions leads to a formula that favors players who either A, carry it off the tee a long way, or B, have solid long iron play. Last year, players were rewarded who excel at 200-plus yard shots into the green. There was more shots from 200-plus yards into the green at this venue than any on tour. I will be looking at players who excel in coastal resort courses because I think that's a good comp with both the wind, and a lot of those have the same paspalum greens. The success last year of players like Alex Smalley, Patrick Rogers, Tony Finau, and John Rahm, who all finished in the top 10, kind of prove that formula because they're good at all of those. The comp courses, the Corrales Golf Club, Cocoa Beach, Cays Valley, and TPC Craig Ranch. Again, any event in Puerto Rico is a big one. There's 2 events that have been in Puerto Rico the last few years. Those are both great comp courses. And then the key stats, driving distance and proximity from 200-plus yards. Those are the 2 big ones because, again, you have to drive it a long way. And you're going to have a lot of long shots into the greens because of the length of the course and also, again, being at sea level. I looked at birdie or better gained, strokes gained approach, strokes gained ball striking, strokes gained tee to green for this year and courses over 7,400 yards, strokes gained total and windy conditions, and then, again, comp course history. Again, this is a course, Alan, that there's not a lot of rough. So that's why I think driving distance is so important because it obviously will limit how far you have into the greens, and you're not really going to be penalized if you're spraying it as long as you're hitting it a long way. Do you have anything else for the course or course comps, key data that you're looking at?
Just strokes gained total, which is probably something I don't usually talk about. Just because there's several different like combinations of players that could make it happen. Typically, you want to be long off the tee, and the fairways are friendly, so you shouldn't get into too much trouble. Even if you do get in trouble, scrambling shouldn't be an issue per se. But the folks who have hit the fairways at a high clip, as you would expect, are typically the ones that win. So I just went with stroke gain total because it takes everything into consideration: approach shots, ball striking, everything. I also had birdie or better and strokes gained approach. Just put a premium on the idea of scoring. My key notes was it's friendly to bombers and long irons are definitely in play.
And did you look a lot at the the results from last year? Because I did, along with, again, these Puerto Rico courses, because with this being the inaugural event last year, a lot of the guys are returning. I guess we should mention that if it wasn't for Jon Rahm and Tony Finau, they're the only two players in the top 60 in the world in this event. This is a weak field. Because of that, I don't know about you, but I am definitely taking some chances, to try to, get lucky on some of these bets to win top 5, top 10, because, it is wide open outside of the top.
Yeah, I just tried to stay true to what I normally do. Part of that is because the last couple of weeks I haven't won. I had some near shots, and so for me, I was like, I'm not gonna get overzealous on my picks this week. I'm gonna stay with my typical strategy, but also keep an eye on the fact that, again, these weak fills present a opportunity for profits. For me, it'll probably come in the form of live betting, but in the same breath, it's also an opportunity to get exposure to guys who you don't typically see. And if you do get somebody that's coming in hot and maintaining that when they do get into these bigger events, like when we get back into majors, it's somebody to keep an eye on that could potentially score big for you.
Yeah, and I think it's even more important to pay attention to these events now that, they're going to continue with this elevated, non-elevated schedule. So you're going to have, these 12 to 14, or I guess it's actually 12 to 16 events where all the top players in the world are there. But to your point, in those non-elevated events, it's kind of a lot more wide open. You have a lot better chance of, again, getting winners. If Rahm wasn't here, it would be a free-for-all. He is rightfully a heavy favorite.
Heavy's not even the right word to describe it.
That's fair. That's fair. Especially, even Tiger in his heyday, I don't know if it was quite this low odds, but
I've never in life even imagined that odds could be that low in a golf tournament.
It is insane. All right, real quickly, let's go over the DFS plays. Again, if you want to see more reasoning and stuff for them, just be sure to check out my article on Fantasy Six Pack that I do each week. But just real quickly, my official lineup, no surprise, Jon Rahm is the anchor at 12,000. I tried to justify not having Rahm in the lineup, and I just can't. He's too likely to either win or top 5 here. I feel like it's important to have him in your lineup because him and Finau are probably the only two kind of sure things in this field. And I know he's, I think it's like 1,300 more than Finau, but he's worth 1,300 more. So he'll be anchoring my lineup. The key's going to be filling out the rest of it. I got Brandon Wu, 8,300, Matt Wallace, 8,100, Nate Lashley, 7,700, Harry Higgs, 7,200, and Tano Goya at 6,700 filling out the lineup. The other options that I supplied or gave in the article were Tony Finau at 10,700, Alex Smalley, 8,400, Stefan Yager, 8,200, and Alvaro Ortiz, 6,200. Is there any guys that you want to mention other than that for DK purposes only, DFS?
Aaron Rye.
That's your boy.
And yeah, I feel like he should do okay. And Lanto Griffin,
I like
two guys
Lanto.
that, yeah, two guys that I think, given Lanto's case, he's 100 to 1, so he's probably going to be low owned and probably cheap as well. But I had Lashley as one of my long shots too, so that's a good one.
I like Lashley a lot. All right, let's get into the bets. Let's start here because I got Rahm on my betting board. I know that sounds insane at plus 260, but I mean, I don't know what else to say. He won the event last year. He won his last event at the Masters. He has 4 wins this year. And, normally I talk about you never take the favorite, but I mean, he's playing so well. And you look at the rest of the field on a track that all the metrics say that even say he had not won the event last year, it's a perfect course for him. I think the play is to either put like maybe 4 or 5 units on him to win, or I think something that you would probably suggest is maybe you can hope that you wait. He does not get off to a lightning fast start. The nightmare scenario for that would obviously be if he's like leading after round 1, but maybe you can get better odds live betting day 1 or day 2.
I never do this, but I want to show people if you can kind of see. You probably can't, but anyway, it says Rahm plus 260, Finau plus 800, and then there's a dash, and it's ha ha. That's what I thought of those odds. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, essentially they're saying that Jon Rahm has a better chance to win this golf tournament than the Clippers have to beat the Suns tonight. And I don't think that's supposed to be the way that this works. But if there was, again, we've talked about how he wins at a high clip, and Scheffler, it's either him or Scheffler pretty much every week. My only concern with putting multiple units on him is at almost 3 to 1 is that what if he's not I would think he wants to be competitive, but what if he's just out here just trying to stay loose?
I don't think he has that level.
I know.
We talked about it after the Masters, why he showed up. I find it hard to believe he's not going to give it his all. And he just regained his world #1 ranking. This would be an opportunity for him to, buy a little distance between him and Scheffler moving forward.
Yeah, well, then never mind. Then he's plenty motivated. But at plus 260, I'm still going to go with the typical strategy. Wait, see what we get. In Rahm's case, he does start out fast sometimes. I think he's like top 5 on tour in round 1 scoring, I'm sure, or something like that. Like he's not a slouch. So you're running a risk of seeing him after day 1 being minus 160. But hey, again, this is a tournament where, again, you're going to find opportunities to get some profit. I'm not going to go all in on Rahm. If you want to do it just to say that you won, then that's great. But I don't think there's a ton of value at betting any golfer at 3 to 1 unless you're dropping.
Can I make an argument, though, that maybe there is some value in the sense that we've seen him at 7, 8 to 1 in fields that are littered.
Yeah, I get
that.
It's just so hard to win a golf tournament. The gambler in me is just always gonna turn his nose up at the fact that for me, seeing a golfer at 3 to 1 is like seeing Alabama at minus 1,300 or something like that. It's cool. It's cool because you're these people are consistent. They earned that particular value, but the one time that you miss, what did you put into it? So again, we're talking golf. Obviously, it's not football. I think it's harder. That would be my only reservation for doing it. But if you got the money to throw around, what the hell? Yeah. Crazier things you can bet on.
For sure. Who's your next lowest odds you got? Do you have Finau on your card?
No, I don't have Finau on my card. My lowest odds are actually Gary Woodland at 22 to 1.
That's my last one.
Yeah, I went straight for value, man. Value in the fact that Woodland if he's on, I think could with his ability to, because he's got some distance off the tee this year. I think as a ball striker, he's probably underrated still. So I'm hoping that he's motivated enough to challenge, and he does well, because 22-1, he's gonna anchor my bets in the sense that I think he's the better value.
Yeah, I felt like that he was the guy that I would want if you're not going to, take the absurd odds with, John Rahm. He finished T24 at this event last year. I like the fact that he played this course, because, again, this is only the second year the tour's been there. Drives it a mile, great in wind. I love that play. My next 3 bets to win are all 60-1. Do you have any lower than that odds?
Yeah, I got all of them lower than that except for the last one. Patrick Rogers at 28-1. I checked him for scoring. His birdie or better percentage is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So is On at 35-1. His birdie or better percentage is pretty good. I think that's an underrated statistic on this course, in the sense that when people think bombers, they're like, oh, if they make a mistake, they'll still make up for it. But you want guys that can putt a little too, because scoring is going to be a premium. There are courses where you're better off getting a defensive golfer, and there's courses where you're better off getting a guy that's going to go for it. And I think this is a course that you want a guy that's going to go for it. And then Aaron Rai at 45-1. He's got some pretty good stats for this particular surface. Also, given the fact that he's probably played the Puerto Rican courses and things like that, because he hasn't been a major player on tour, he's coming in playing some of the best golf he's played in a long time, being pretty consistent. I said, I think at the beginning of the year, he's one of those guys that's bound to win one. I think this price range is also serving notice to that. He's also a streaky scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ben Martin, I took at 50-1 for his strokes. Yeah, his strokes gained total are pretty good. And this wasn't based on the surface. This is based on this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's a guy that I've seen start pretty hot based off of when you picked him for props and things like that. It just needs to all come together. One of the cool things about these smaller courses, these smaller events, is that there's no pressure on these little guys. So even if they do find themselves in the final round, it might be Rahm, it might be Finau, but it's not Rahm, Finau, Spieth, Hovland, and all these other guys chasing them, so that they typically will find themselves in calmer waters to navigate some of their mistakes. And so I didn't mind giving him a shot as well. And then after that, I have one guy that's over 60-1.
All right. Well, I got a trio of 60-1 guys because, again, obviously if I'm betting on Rahm and Woodland, two of the higher odds guys, there's not a lot of point to getting into a lot of people, but I actually do like these. Matt Wallace is the first one. He won earlier this year at the Corrales in Puerto Rico. That's a comp course, similar conditions. Now, people will probably look, he finished 67th in this event last year, but that was in the midst of him missing the cut in 7 of 8 events. He was playing terrible. That is not the case this year. He comes in with 4 top 30s, 2 top 10s in his last 6 events. I also have Wallace to top 5 at 11-1. The next guy is Luke List, 60-1. Fits the narrative for this course. He has a great record on coastal courses. Gains 0.7 shots on the field in windy conditions. He averages over 310 yards off the tee, so it's plenty far. I also have him to top 5 at 11-1, so double down on both of those. And then Brandon Wu, 60-1, finished runner-up at this event last year. This guy likes these kind of courses. He has multiple top 10s in Puerto Rico in the last few seasons, so when you look at a guy that has a second and 2 top 10s, or second at this venue last year, and then 2 top 10s in Puerto Rico, again, on kind of comp courses, similar conditions. He gains more strokes in high winds than in low or non-windy conditions. Paspalum greens are the only surface where he does not lose strokes to the field on the greens. So I also have him to top 10 at plus 450. Do you have Ashe Biata? I think I butchered that name. Do you have him on your betting board? He's one of my 2 long shots.
No, I left him off. I still like him as a golfer and somebody that's going to eventually take the tour by storm. He just hasn't been consistent enough for me when I've bet him in props.
Let
So
me
I
make the case for
couldn't.
him real quickly then. He's
Yeah.
90 to 1. This is purely off of talent. I mean, you both have targeted him to somebody that has a chance to be a guy coming up, and we like to grab those guys early. He did finish runner up at the Puerto Rico Open, which again is another comp course. He also finished top 25 at the Corrales in Puerto Rico. Again, both of those courses are comp courses. And I also have him to top 10 at 7 to 1. Cameron Champ is my other bet to win. Who is yours?
Dang. I had Champ. I had him starred on here, but I don't know why I didn't pick him.
Because he's
Oh, one
playing
of the things.
awful, but he fits the narrative for this course, and he played well there last year. Is why I'm looking at him at 130 to
One
1.
of the things about, and I think because I practiced saying his name, I think it's Batia.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things about him in Puerto Rico, I don't know if it was the Puerto Rican Open or if it was the other event that they did there. He had like this god tier round. I don't know if it was the final round or the
I
third
think it was the
round.
third round. Yeah.
Yeah, where he basically never missed a birdie. And again, if you can catch these like streaky golfers a lot, that happens. Like any professional starting a skill based sport is gonna have moments of pure brilliance. It's just the consistency for me that I look for. But I don't think you're at 90 to 1. I don't think it's a bad idea. I had
Yours is
Cameron Champ.
Lanto, right? I forgot. You like Lanto this
Yeah,
week?
yeah, I've got Lanto. Robbie Shelton at 65 to 1 was my last guy that wasn't considered a long shot. Just a solid all around game. Decent ball striker. I think he handles the wind pretty well
Mm-hmm.
too. But Lanto and Lashley are my two long shots. They also are my top 10 props. Lanto at plus 750, Lashley at plus 850.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rye was my top 5 at plus 850. Again, I'm trying my best to catch some of these high odds on these props. Hasn't worked out for me the last couple weeks. Again, one stroke off a couple times, but I feel like in an event like this, let's say you did put 5-6 units on Rom and Rom doesn't hit, but you put 2 units on Lashley or Lanto or one of these props, you're gonna break even at worst, you know. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the right way to go about it, is to take your shots on the props because they give you a wider range and not necessarily all your eggs on a winner.
Completely agree. To that point, I've got the top 5 odds this week. I went all with higher odds. Alex Smalley plus 850. He finished T6 at this event last year. Another guy plays really well in windy conditions, averages almost a full stroke on the field in extreme winds, and is another player that gains stroke on Paspalum greens and not on any other surfaces. He has 2 top 5s in his last 12 events, so he has the ability to do that. Matt Wallace and Luke Bliss, I talked about earlier, you got both of those at 11 to 1. Lanta, who you're just talking about, plus 1850. He's on a medical exemption. So anytime he tees it up, he has to feel good about his chances at this venue. Otherwise, he's wasting one of his free starts before he ends up losing his status if he doesn't do well enough. That's why I really like him. He finished T15th at this event last year. If you remember, that was right before his surgery. So for him to play that well, even though he was having some physical limitations, I really like. And in a weak field, I just love these odds for a player who plays so well on long courses. And then David Lipsky, 20 to 1. He finished T6 at this event last year. He plays well in windy conditions. He puts the best on Paspalum greens. And 2 career starts at this event and the Corrales, a comp course. His worst finish is T7th. So again, he's a guy that really likes these courses that are near sea level, high winds. I also have him to top 10 at 8 to 1 and top 20 at plus 330. The top 10 picks, most of these guys I've already mentioned. Brandon Wu plus 450, Ashke Beata 7 to 1, David Lipsky again 8 to 1. Your boy Nate Lashley talked about, really like this play, plus 850, finished T11th at this event last year, to go along with 2 other top 10s at the Puerto Rico Open in recent years, which again is a comp course, similar conditions. I really like that. Cam Champ 10-1. Again, it's just the fact that he played so well here last year, and he is like Cam Champ is the ultimate guy that can just play well out of nowhere. And then for the top 20s, again, David Lipsky plus 330 I discussed. But Harry Higgs 5-1. He's a big hitter. He's rounding into form. 7 of the last 9 cuts made. I like that he finished T7th at the Puerto Rico Open earlier this year. Tano Gallo 5-1. He averages over 310 yards off the tee. He plays his best golf in windy conditions. Has 2 top 35 finishes in the 2 events in Puerto Rico this year. And then we're getting into just the long shots. And I'm probably going to butcher these names, but Mateo Fernandez de Aloverio. I can't say it. I'm sorry. I'm a country boy. He's a 29th ranked amateur in the world. Was an All-American last year at Arkansas. He won the Latin American Championship this year. That's how he got into the field at the Masters. He shot a respectable 75-76 at the Masters. I looked it up. He was in the bad draw. So 75-76 if he played in the Koepka draw. Wouldn't have been that impressed considering he did in the Rahm draw. I think that's pretty well. And then the other guy is Alvaro Ortiz. He's 25-1, the 27-year-old from Mexico. So this is kind of a home course deal. He's played this course many times, including a T42 at the event last year. I know me and you have discussed before. I don't know if we have since we've been on Fantasy Six Packs YouTube channel, but that we like guys that are from the area, especially on some of these courses that are in different countries. And a guy that, he's not going to have a lot of, stats and stuff to back it up. But just the fact that I have read he's played this course a ton growing up. Obviously, again, he finished T42 last year. Top 20 at 25-1. I think that's, worth taking a shot for.
So you putting premium on when? When I checked the weather report, it didn't seem like it was going to be anything crazy, but I'll go back and double check. I would tell everybody the same way. What was it? Was it Bay Hill? If it's a course that typically has wind, regardless of what the weather report says, you probably want to add a couple plays just in case. But do keep an eye on it. The weather, honestly, especially along the coast or these areas that are open, it can change literally within a day. Like it could say no wind, and then tomorrow it could say 30 miles per hour. So before you commit to bets, just make sure you do a thorough check. You could do that on AccuWeather or Wind Finder, I think is another little website you can go to. Or you can do, this is my guy, Kevin Ross, I think is his name. He does the weather for Roto Grinders. He's probably one of the best, or if not the best. I use him all the time for baseball, but he does weather for golf as well, so just check it out.
And another thing, just to remind people, because it is a coastal course, this course isn't going to have a ton of trees, and it's just like I used to work and play down in St. Simons. 10 to 15 miles an hour on a course there is so much different than 10 to 15 miles an hour at your normal venue. So much of it's just there's not a lot of buildings, structures and stuff to block it. It's just like if you get in downtown Atlanta on a really windy day, it doesn't seem that bad. Then you get out in the open and it'll about knock you over. I do think that these courses always end up having decent winds. The weather, again, is supposed to be beautiful, but when you're talking about 12 mile per hour winds is the base each day, all it's got to take is just for it to get a little gusty. And, we're talking about significant winds. And 12 miles an hour is, again, not nothing, especially on a coastal course. And I just look at the guys that have had success in Puerto Rico or even the coastal courses in the States. It just, certain players just hit a better ball in the wind, and that was kind of why, that was such a focal point to me. I think, though, don't you agree, the biggest thing is any big bets you're going to be making, you want to make sure that they, have a significant advantage distance-wise, and they're a very good long iron player.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we got through that. Is there anything you want to add to it before we get out of here?
No, just pray that I don't come in second or miss one of my props by one stroke. I can't take it much longer, man. Golf does this to me every time, but this is the time as a gambler. I just take my lumps because I can't get right for baseball, and then golf gets me by one stroke. I'm hoping to get it all out the way because the Kentucky Derby is in a week.
All right, before we get out here, I do want to remind everyone this Thursday at 7:30 on the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel, this channel right here, they're doing a giant NFL draft special. They will be having a ton of great guests on to discuss the first round pick, including yours truly, Alan. So they were hard up. No, but I am excited to talk some of the first round picks. I tried to get on near when the Falcons are picking, so I don't, lose my mind when they take a running back at the 8th pick, which for whatever reason they are favored to do so, which I don't understand. But you need to be sure to check that out. Fantasy Six Packs has a ton of great football content, and this will be a lot of fun. So, Alan, I hope that do you want to plug anything before you get out here, buddy?
No, I don't have anything going on right now. I'm doing stand up and stuff, so I've been kind of busy. So I'm just I need a secretary, but I'm just trying to get my bearings so I can continue to try to help and provide some content here and there. If anybody looked at my preseason American League article, the Shohei Ohtani for Cy Young 12-1 is still looking pretty solid. I wish I had time to get the National League going, but I didn't. So the Rays have started out pretty hot, and I was high on them in the beginning of the season too. So if anything, I'll contribute baseball-wise. I don't know if they've got anything going for horse racing, but if they do, I'll jump in on that too because I do love a good exotic.
You are a true degenerate, and that's why I love you.
Yeah, man.
All right, Alan. Well, I have enjoyed it as always. We will be back next week for one of my favorite events, the Wells Fargo. But for Keith and Alan, this has been the 2 Off the Tee Mexico Open preview, and we'll see you guys soon. Good luck, everybody.